Who could have predicted a roguelite in the God of War universe? Certainly not me, but I have to say I am a fan. For those who don't know, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla just came out 2 days ago, and it's been a complete blast. The game is absolutely insanely fun, and I'm here to give you 5 tips on how to get a smooth experience on it. My name is Ghost of Seas. Let's get it. So God of War Ragnarok is the epilogue of the story. So this is your proper spoiler alert. If you haven't finished God of War Ragnarok, I suppose you are not going to be entitled to playing Valhalla, but if you do, it's going to be lots of spoilers in this video. So you have been warned, and for the rest, let's get it. So let's start by talking about RogueLite. If you are familiar with the genre, you know games like Hades, where it's basically a run through dungeons with power-ups and different rooms every single time. It is basically the same thing here. So you are going to go through the memories of Kratos through Valhalla, where he is going to basically give us the story of his Greece saga. So it is quite fantastic. If you have played all the old God of War games, so God of War 1, 2, 3, Ascensions and things like that, you will be completely joyful when you're going to play this game because it is a blast. So going back down memory lane to relive the story of Kratos before the Norse saga is absolutely fantastic. It is going to be a ode, to the players through Santa Monica Studios as a thank you note, and I think it delivered really, really highly. As you may know or you may not know, a roguelite is considered a game where you go through a dungeon, which is usually the same layout or the same big picture of the dungeon with procedural rooms. So every time you go into a new room, there is new enemies with different affixes, and you get to choose, perks every time you finish one of those rooms. So basically, this is what we have with God of War Ragnarok. It is completely out of the left field from what we've seen into the gaming genre for God of War Ragnarok or for God of War franchise in general, but it is a breath of fresh air, and I have to say I absolutely love it. So let's go and take a look at which kind of symbols you are going to go through. This is tip number 1. You will have to choose at the first chest, which weapon you're going to main. So the axe, the blades, or the spear, and it is basically going to give you more upgrades for that specific weapon throughout the rest of your run. So if you want to start with the axe and then switch to the blades to get better perks, you will basically need to redo a new run. That being said, you should familiarize yourself with the symbols. So the symbol overview, as you can see here, if you press L3 on your menu, you will see which icon gives you what, meaning that whenever you are going to open one of the doors in one of the realms, you are going to create a new procedural room. So with the symbols here, if you take, the mastery seal, you are going to get mastery seals at the end. If you choose the actual power upgrades, well, you're going to realize that you're going to have power upgrades at the end whenever you finish the room. Like in this example where we chose the refill or stat reward, and we got, a rage refill or a blessing of strength. So choose your doors carefully because you know in advance what you are going to get in the chest. So once again, all the symbols are in your menu. You just have to click on left analog and you're going to see all the different symbols and what they give. When you see a skull, it means that it is a boss at the end of the actual door, and it will give you the opportunity to move up in realms because there's multiple realms you need to achieve to be able to get to the end of the dungeons and the end of the run. All right, let's talk about tip number 2. Every time you are going to be defeated or finish the actual dungeon, you are going to get back to the shore. And once you are here, you'll be able to not only upgrade permanently the affixes and the attributes you have, but on top of that, you will be able to choose different equipment before starting your run. So basically, you can choose your shield, you can choose your Spartan Rage, and you can choose your relics. So it's going to be very, very fun to redo all of these runs with different equipments. It is the really fun thing about the roguelite genre is the fact that, you know, every single run is never the same, specifically that you're never gonna know which perks you're gonna get at the end, because even though you know which kind you will receive, you don't know which one precisely you will. So now let's talk about tip number 3. We were talking about upgrades earlier, and it is really great because you can also upgrade whatever you have inside your run. Before, it was permanently before starting the runs. This is inside the runs. So whenever you see one of these boxes in between the realms, you will be able to upgrade your perks, your weapons, and your runic attacks, which is really important whenever you are going to be really high in difficulty, because you will need all the tools in your arsenal to be able to defeat even the smallest champion, because they are really tough. So there is one in every realms and upper realms, and one right before the end boss. So you can use, you know, the minor health bursts and rage bursts, but you have to know that it's only available once. But whenever you are going to be at the end, meaning at, you know, the grease section of the dungeon, you will have another set of health and rage that you'll be able to use. So you can use them in the first half, but I strongly suggest you to use them at the end, right before the big boss, if you are missing some health. So talking about grease, this is the last part of the dungeon and the meanest one. So, you know, the biggest bosses and the heaviest hitting enemies are right here. It is, you know, specifically into the game, so it's integrated into the story. But basically every time you are going to run a new dungeon, you are going to do basically the same thing up until here, and then going to the last boss. We are going to talk about the last boss at the end on tip number 5, but right here I just want to talk to you guys before the grease section, the tip number 4, which is whenever you are opening a tear in reality, like the blue things that you can see here on the screen right now, you will need to kill, you know, Valhalla's Chosens. And whenever you open one, there is going to be one inside. The color might change and might vary, and they will vary because there is multiple tears in all this labyrinth. There is blue, yellow, and reds. And you need to understand that all of them have different difficulties. So the blue ones are the easiest, yellow ones have, you know, heaviest or heavier bosses, and the red ones are, you know, the most most difficult tears you can see there. They all always give you one, sometimes it might be two, but you need to know that, you know, the difficulty meter on top is something you need to take care of. So my tip is, when you start and you see that you are at, you know, at the green bar on top saying 1, meaning that the monsters are at their lowest, even though you take the blue, the yellow, or the red, try to go straight for the red ones, you know, the heaviest ones or the meanest ones, because you don't want to, you know, do the small blue ones and then get your difficulty meter down to like 2, 3, and 4, where all the monsters everywhere are going to be way harder to kill. So if you want my humble opinion, it's way better to just go straight to the red tears, so the most difficult ones, when you are starting this section, because you are going to have a way better time than if you get to level 2, 3, or 4 and you need to kill those bosses after that. Alright, tip number 5. So as you can see here, you are still in Greece right before getting into the last boss, and my tip for you is, if you see anything that's regarding relic charge, take it. So whenever, you know, you hit, you get a relic charge back, or whenever you parry or block or evade, those in my opinion are the best, especially if you have, you know, the good ones. So the one for realm shift and the ones for the higher damages. There is even the one for the Berserker King, the one you get in God of War Ragnarok from the Berserker King. You actually get it back in this one. You still have to kill the Berserker King, and yes, big spoiler, the Berserker King and all the other Berserkers are actually in Valhalla. Yes, it is quite insane. I have to say, I absolutely love this Easter egg and love the fact that they added all the Berserkers back into this section of the game. It was one of my favorite parts of it, and I gotta say, they really knocked it off the park with this free DLC. I have to repeat it. It's completely free. If you bought the game, you only need to re-download the free DLC, and you can play this amazing RogueLite God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. It is an endless, you know, way to play this game, there's always new options, always new routes, and as you get closer and closer to the end, you get a really nice comeback on the story, basically from all the way back to Kratos' story. I'm gonna let you guys discover this for yourself, but I gotta say, it is insane. So stay tuned for the next video where we are actually going to take a look at how to unlock and how to defeat the Berserkers in the Greece section of God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Because as you can see here, whenever you are done with the game, you can basically come back up and defeat a couple of Berserkers, which is really nice because every time it's gonna be a different one. It's insane. So my name is Ghost of Red Seas. I hope you absolutely love this video because I'm gonna be back and making lots of video about my favorite game in the world, God of War Ragnarok. See you guys.